Got a little caught off guard.
Got a little basketball talk, huh?
All right, look, nice win for the Celtics. I'm sure Cavs were thinking we could take those 17 points from IT last night, put them in for tonight. But what did you see that you liked and didn't like?
Well, I mean, I love that. We talked a little bit at halftime. I love the bench from Boston. I mean, I love Rozier. I love Smart. Those guys come and get after it every single night. They take tough matchups. They change the pace, the speed of the game. Terry Rozier, he's a guy who I really believe could possibly be a really good starter in this league in a year or two. I mean, he's getting he's backed up some very good guys. He's backed up IT for a little bit, learned some of the tricks of his trade. Kyrie now, and very athletic. I mean, gets offensive rebounds. I think this guy has a big upside.
And you're still talking to the development of young players, which is why I think Brad Stevens, other than Danny Ainge, is the most valuable person with the Celtics. You talked about those two guys. How about Tatum? How about Jaylen Brown? These are two guys that went in the top 3. Normally, when you get picked that high, and you know, Mr. Big Shot, you're called to be the face of the franchise. These guys are allowed to work themselves into a rhythm, continue to improve their games. Not only from three-point range, you see the improvement from Tatum. That's how you do it, Jalen.
That must feel pretty good.
Yes, it did. And so having those two guys with Gordon Hayward out still be as productive as they are has been terrific for the Boston Celtics.
Well, it's been good for their development because who knows where Tatum will be or even Jaylen Brown if Gordon Hayward didn't get hurt. Would they still be progressing at this rate? But anyway, you love that they're getting this experience. Come next year when Gordon's come back, they're going to be deep at that position. It'll be I wonder what's going to happen. Will there be a trade or what's going to happen? Because you have too much talent at that position right there, especially with Smart coming off playing at a wing position and Rozier.
Let me ask you this. I know we're just into January, but there was a lot of buildup around this game for all the obvious reasons. How big is this win? Is it big, or do you put too much stock into it?
This is a big win for the Celtics, for their psyche. For one, they have to feel like and know that they can beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland, they know they can beat Boston. They're coming in. This is a schedule loss. They are on a back-to-back. Guys are tired. That's the reason you didn't see LeBron play so well. A number of guys didn't really play well. They had to travel, didn't really have their 100% legs. So, but this was big for Boston's psyche tonight, just to show that they can beat this team.
P, you can't say those two things in the same sentence.
Like,
this is a big win, but you know, this is a schedule loss.
You know, the Cavs are tired.
Yeah, because Boston wanted this game more than the Cavs, obviously.
It's a big win for Boston because if you want to be a contender, that's the team that you have to beat. You have to beat them at home.
Well,
but you've been resting. You Boston, right? You've been resting 3 days.
Right.
You got a team coming in on a back-to-back. If I'm a Celtic right now, I'm not sitting saying, dang, man, that was cool, but that was a schedule loss.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what Cleveland is saying right now. They didn't play with IT, who just came back yesterday, and they're on a back-to-back. So they weren't concerned if they won this game or not. They wanted to play hard. Of course, they want to win, but you can see they just didn't have the energy or the legs tonight.
Is that better?
I agree.
Is that better? Okay, yeah.
Sharp.
That was the one.
How about the maturity of Isaiah Thomas? Because there's been so much said over the last handful of months about how he was traded, dealing with an injury, the passing of his sister. He's back in Boston, and he talked about whether he was going to have a relationship with Danny Ainge or they were going to speak for a while. He's better than me.
It's 2018.
Better human, huh?
He's a way better human being than me because even just from a competitive aspect, forget basketball, forget real life, just like only for basketball, I would have wanted to try to keep that anger edge against them.
Because, well, for people who may not know, Mike Breen and those guys, they talked about it during the game, was that he and Danny Ainge did have a conversation behind closed doors.
Not going to be able to do it.
Cameras weren't there. And you guys all took
I'm not rolling just yet.
You thought it was too soon.
Well, as much stuff that was talked about the whole relationship and how the trade went down, you know, Isaiah doesn't have anything against the Boston fans or anything. This seemed like it was all directed toward Danny Ainge for trading him. When Danny Ainge, all he can do is his job. And so I can see why he can go sit on the bench, wave to a couple friends, but like you said, Jalen, I'm not sure if I would have said anything to
in fairness,
today.
We don't know what was said behind closed doors, by the way. We have no idea how that meeting or talk or that might have been intended.
But we know it was a talk.
Okay, so you just have a problem with it being a talk right now.
Well,
you need a year or so.
I've been there before. I can remember, being traded by by Detroit, and Joe Dumars is a guy who was one of my heroes, who I really looked up to as a player, as a guy. Really crushed me, hurt my feelings. You know, it really did. And I didn't speak to him for a while. Of course, we're all good now, and I still look up to him. A couple years.
Oh, a couple years.
Yeah, a couple years. But you know, it's obviously all good now, and I still look up to him. He's still a great dude, but I was surprised that IT.
Me too.
But we still don't know what kind of words. It could have been some controversy.
Well, did Danny leave with a black eye? Did Danny leave with a black eye tonight?
No, but you could say like 2 words.
You don't. I'm not going in that room.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm walking past.
Man, I'm so happy to finally find other grudge holders in my life. I've been looking for you guys my whole life. Let's do